UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in Washington, where he's set to hold high-stakes talks with US President Donald Trump. The British leader is expected to make his case for the US to provide crucial security guarantees in Ukraine. European leaders are scrambling to persuade the US to give Kyiv and Brussels a seat at the negotiating table after President Trump opened two-way peace talks with Russia's Vladimir Putin. And more, Olly Barratt joins us live from London and Nick Harper standing by for us in Washington, D.C. Let's start with you, Olly. Now, we're calling these high-stakes talks. Well, they're certainly high stakes for Sir Keir Starmer. What does he stand to lose?
They are indeed high stakes for Keir Starmer. This is potentially a defining moment for his premiership, and he knows that very well. In terms of his domestic political reputation, what he is trying to avoid in Washington is some kind of humiliation, some kind of public slapping down of one or other of his key priorities, a public falling out with US President Donald Trump. On the more positive side, he will hope that he can demonstrate that he has a good working relationship with Donald Trump and that he can potentially even have some kind of influence over President Trump on a number of key issues. Domestic priorities include tariffs and whether he can persuade Donald Trump to see the UK carved out of tariffs being imposed on a number of other countries. He went into these talks saying that he hopes he can still be a bridge between the United States and European nations who are watching these talks very closely. Clearly, Ukraine is a key part of that. Keir Starmer repeating his plea for some kind of US backstop when it comes to a potential peace agreement between Ukraine and Russia. Very much remains to be seen how receptive Donald Trump is going to be on that particular issue. But there are other key areas of focus for the UK government that might come up as well, including the Chagos Islands deal with Mauritius, which Keir Starmer says he still thinks is a good deal, but which the government now admits the US effectively has a veto on.
All right, Chagos Islands is definitely one issue, but given that Volodymyr Zelensky will be in Washington, well, reportedly tomorrow to sign possibly a deal on minerals, what is also top of mind is Ukraine. Now, if Keir Starmer is hoping for security guarantees from Washington, Mr. Trump in his first cabinet meeting has already made it very clear he's not going to be giving those security guarantees. Where's the meeting point for Mr. Trump and Mr. Starmer? Nick.
Yeah, that's right, Wei-Su. I think it's going to be very difficult for Keir Starmer to try and make the case to Donald Trump. Often this US-UK relationship is called a special relationship. It's already under strain. We could see it come apart quite spectacularly later today. As Olly mentioned, Keir Starmer will be hoping to avoid a public shaming. There are a couple of opportunities, an Oval Office meeting, a joint press conference, all taking place in Washington during the course of the day. And there is a tightrope walk for Keir Starmer during those encounters with Donald Trump standing by his side, because President Trump has made it very clear during the course of the last week that he views the Ukraine war as a European problem, and a problem that he doesn't really want much of a part of. He seems quite happy that there is an ocean separating him from Europe. Suggestions that there could be some sort of European peacekeeping force, Donald Trump reiterating time and time again that the US will not have a part in that, even though Emmanuel Macron, the French president, earlier this week, Keir Starmer today, President Zelensky tomorrow, they are all saying that the US needs to be a part of this in order to safeguard the future security of Ukraine.
Olly, back to you. Mr. Starmer has tried to assuage US concerns about Europe not doing enough for its own defense. It has made a suggestion that it might put boots on the ground post-truce in Ukraine, also agreeing to up its defense spending.
That's right. UK defence spending will hit 2.5% of GDP by 2027. That is significantly earlier than the government, I think, had initially been planning. And Keir Starmer made it very clear when announcing that move in defence spending that his decision to bring that timeline forward had been, in his words, accelerated by the events of the last few weeks. And by that, he means For example, Donald Trump talking to Vladimir Putin about Ukraine and some of the concern in London about Washington and its priorities and its desire or otherwise to be involved in a Ukraine peacekeeping force or backstop or security guarantees, whatever they are described as. The government denies that this move in defence spending was completely based on Donald Trump, but it is absolutely no coincidence at all that the announcement on further defence spending from the UK was made before Keir Starmer got to Washington. He hopes that that will help him make the case for some of the things that he wants to talk to Donald Trump about, not least Ukraine.
And Nick, back to not coincidentally, Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president, reportedly heading to Washington tomorrow to sign a deal on critical minerals, a deal which he had refused to sign just a few weeks ago. What's changed and what's in it for Ukraine in signing this deal?
Well, in terms of what's in it for Ukraine, I mean, that's really the million-dollar question, because the phrase of the week has been security guarantees, something that President Zelensky wants, but something that Donald Trump is not making clear exactly what that will entail. During Wednesday's cabinet meeting, he suggested it might not amount to very much, continuing to push this idea that really this rare earths mineral deal is all about payback for 3 years of weapons and support that Washington has given. Now, you could say there is some implicit security, because if the US wants to continue to extract these rare earths, it will want to try and keep Ukraine safe and secure in the future. But Donald Trump is not suggesting at this stage, certainly not US boots on the ground, potentially no more weapons. Interesting to note, ahead of Keir Starmer's visit, the former UK Defence Secretary Ben Wallace, speaking about this rare earth deal, said it was total extortion, suggesting that President Zelensky really wasn't going to get much out of this deal beyond the US taking rare earths from the country.
Olly Barratt reporting live from London, and Nick Harper in Washington, D.C., looking ahead to what is likely to be very difficult talks between the US President and the British Prime Minister.